Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chats. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong live for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well.
There you go, team. Good morning to you, wherever you are tuning in from this morning. A little bit under the weather this morning, team, but we're going to kick on with Wealth Coffee Chats here at a Wednesday morning and get through it together, I suppose. So, yeah, look, grab your coffee, grab your tea, whatever you need Wednesday morning. If you haven't sort of seen me around before, my name's Cass Shosted, representing the property management team here this morning, and we do this about 8:10 every Wednesday here on Wealth Coffee Chats. Taking over the week. So what's been happening in your world in the past week, team? Give me a bit of a shout out in the chat. For you guys, for property management anyway, it's been a real busy week actually. Traveling to Melbourne, back there with the team, back in sunny Queensland, which is always good to see. So a few of the regulars are joining on this morning. Kevin, good morning from me. Good evening to you. And Luke, g'day, mate. Hope you are well. So, team, a bit of another story from me today. A bit more insight into the world of property management and what actually happens out there in the marketplace. For those who've been tuning on for a little while now, week to week, we've certainly come up with some pretty cool strategies, and a few of you have reached out, which is great. And seeing some of those, theories be put into reality is really cool to see rents get up, to protect your asset and all the rest of it, which is super, super cool. So today I thought I'd share another story because I've been looking around in the world of property management, seeing what other property managers are up to, seeing what other experiences and maybe some stories out there we can share. So today, a little bit about this one that I read a couple of days ago. 7 days into a new tenancy, the tenant is leaving. What on earth happened there, right? So it's a bit of an effort, sometimes to get your property on the market, to get it ready, to present it, to do the open homes, to get someone approved, to get the deposit. And then 7 days into a new tenancy, the tenant says, I am out. Pretty incredible. Bit bizarre, actually, when I read the story. I'm going to sort of fill in the gaps, I guess, a little bit this morning in terms of what I read online, but certainly there's some lessons in this one. So I thought I'd give you guys a bit of a snapshot into that world. But team, let me know in the chat. Maybe you guys have experienced something like that before. A bit bizarre, as I say, but yeah, if you've ever had a tenant sign a lease, maybe 1-2 months into the tenancy, they've said, hey, not for me, I'm out, change of circumstances perhaps. Let me know in the chat if that's you. If not, that's okay too. Bunty, good morning. Thanks for jumping on as always. So this little story, team, I'll share with you. So property went to market. This home was newly renovated. Now, this home is in Queensland, but this can be interpreted into any other state out there, I suppose, wherever your portfolios are. Home was recently renovated, so just imagine new fixtures, fittings throughout. Had a pool situated in a very desirable suburb. Home went to the market, and of course, on Wealth Copy Chats, we talk about low vacancy rates. We talk about the strength of the rental market at the moment, and I suppose property was rented really quickly, which was really good. See a couple more jumping on. Kayla, thanks for jumping on. Alison, good to see you. Hope you're well. And property went to market, again, recently renovated. I'm going to assume the advertising campaign, the strategies that we talk about here was implemented because this home was rented in a relatively quick time frame. So at this stage, the owner is very happy, the property manager is very happy, and what looks to be a very happy tenant as well. Agreement is made. The tenant says, hey, listen, I actually need to come into the property a little bit earlier. Can you make that happen? The property manager says, absolutely. Right. So the property manager is doing the right thing here. We're minimizing vacancy. We are in the best interest of everyone here involved, gets the property in a position to be tenanted a little bit earlier than perhaps the availability date online. So all is good. Property manager makes it happen. Tick. Tenancy commences, keys are collected, the tenant starts completing the entry condition report. And to my knowledge, when I read this story and had a little bit of insight to it, nothing major came up on the entry condition report. So for those that don't know what an entry condition report is, we need to go through each go through the property in its entirety. Check on the rooms, fixtures, fittings, basically the condition of the property. The tenant has a chance to respond, agree or disagree, make their own notes, photos, etc. Anyhow, long story short, the entry condition report was all okay to the property manager's knowledge. So again, seems all okay, right? So things are progressing. 7 days into the tenancy, the property manager receives an email with a Form 13, which in Queensland is our notice of intention to leave. And so, think of your vacate notice, whatever that looks like for you in your state or territory. Tenant says, hey, here's my notice, 2 weeks. Property does not meet minimum standards. I am leaving. And that was that, which led the property manager to, I suppose, feel a little bit vulnerable, probably more questions than answers at that stage. There's a lot going on, right? What do you actually tell the landlord given you don't know yourself at this stage? And so what happened was the tenant never actually physically moved into the property, right? Really, really odd. Had paid their bond, had paid their signed their lease, done all that stuff. Everything was above board. Really, really bizarre. Tenant just basically leaves. Now, there could be a few reasons, and in this scenario, I'm never going to know the truth, I suppose, because I don't know who these people are. However, you could assume a couple of things. Right, number one, the property does not meet minimum standards, and there is a legitimate reason why they do not need to move in. Now, in Queensland, you can serve that notice to leave within the 7 days if the property does not meet minimum standards, which on face value is what the tenants have done. Now, who's to say it actually does or doesn't meet minimum standards is the question in this case. The property manager moves forward to sort of ask the community out there, hey, what do I do, right? What do I do? And obviously, the point to my story today is like for you guys as the investors and landlords, understanding, how your property manager works, around their process, around their execution, around their dialogue, around their knowledge of legislation, because this is kind of where it gets a little bit messy. The property manager says, hey, what do I do with the 3 weeks rent that the tenant's paid? Do I keep that? Do I pass that on to the landlord? Do I, refund that money back to the tenant, given they've given possession of the property back? What do I do with the bond? Do I just refund it? Do I need to do an exit condition report, right? Bond inspection? Do I just treat this as a break lease, given they have signed a fixed lease and have taken possession of the property? Or do we just refund everything, start again, cut our losses and move on with life? So there's a few things there that the property manager could consider. In this case, the property manager had potentially done everything right up until this stage. And then it's about handling this situation given the scenario. Now, it's a really interesting one because there is a few options you could take as a landlord, in my experience. sometimes I think the first thing you can do is potentially clarify what's actually happening. And for you guys, and as the landlord, really important to know how your property manager or property management team or business unit goes about clarifying, goes about asking the right questions on your behalf. Because at the end of the day, that's what you are paying them to do, right? You are paying them to look after you and your property in your best interest, to create some really good framework there and protection. So, I wrote some notes down here. I was like, what would I do in this scenario? Well, I would want my landlord to know I'm capable of my understanding and knowledge of legislation, so I can move forward in a really good, clean way of handling this scenario, given the tenant has said, hey, listen, I'm not actually moving in and I'm not going to pay you any more rent. Now, the first thing I would do is probably clarify with the tenant, when you say it doesn't meet minimum standards, what do you mean? Highlight to me where in the property and what isn't meeting minimum standards. I think it's super important we get that. And I know we've spoken about that on on Wealth Coffee Chats here on a Wednesday before. We won't run through those minimum standards in full. G'day, Jeff. Thanks for jumping on. And Scott as well. Good stuff, team. And you want to make sure that the property's safe and secure and it's got heating and cooling and all the things that meet minimum standards, right? But given this property is recently renovated, I'm going to assume in this case that it is. I'm also going to, I'm understanding that the tenant in this case potentially hasn't even identified where the property or how the property doesn't meet minimum standards, right? So there could be a few questions there. Maybe the tenant actually just had another property lined up and they've got approved for that one and they've changed their mind. They're just trying to wiggle out of the lease. So number one, have your property manager clarify. And when I say clarify, I ask really good questions. This should be the case in any scenario. If you've got a maintenance issue, if you've got a rent arrears issue, if you've got a tribunal issue, whatever it may be, team, I want you guys to have a clear picture and understanding of how your property manager goes about clarifying to get better information. Number two, could the property manager meet the tenant on site to have a discussion and work through that process? Yes, they absolutely could. In this case, that didn't happen. Number three, if there is a dispute, I suppose, in the case the tenant wanted to stay on, there is avenues for the tenant to lodge a tribunal hearing and conciliation, and there's a bunch of different things there. The only challenge with there I see is potentially time. Getting a hearing in 24, 48 hours is probably not going to happen, team. And time will be the issue. So, what do you do in that scenario? And potentially that might not be the play, given, we are looking and staring down the barrel of further vacancy, potentially. Right, so number four, and here's probably my favorite option, what I would do in this stage, given I've asked the right questions, I've clarified some things. If the tenant has said, hey, listen, I'm not meeting you on site, I'm moving on, here are the keys. What I would do, team, and what I know a lot of our landlords have done over time, sometimes when little situations like this occur, is sometimes to just let it go. For me, for tenants breaking lease or indicating that, hey, I am going to vacate within 7 days of the lease agreement, then maybe that's stating some red flags for us as the property manager, for you as the landlord, and potentially, again, there's more questions than answers at that stage. So for me, given the situation, if you know that your home meets minimum standards because you have a great compliance program in place, you know that the place is safe, it's secure, it has water supply, it has the heating and the cooling and all the things around minimum standards that us as landlords and property managers need to adhere to, given you have that evidence, and obviously your entry condition report is nice and clean, then there's nothing to be necessarily worried about, right, or concerned about. So sometimes, team, it's about just cutting them loose, getting that property back on the market ASAP, and given the market conditions at the moment, renting that home out again in a very quick time frame is highly likely, depending on the location of your property. So I guess biggest takeaways, team, is sometimes you've just got to pause, ask the questions, realize that this situation isn't worth pursuing, even though there is a fixed lease, and sometimes that mutual agreement can be made to for both parties to move on. And I suppose in that time, that's probably the best scenario to get you guys moving ahead. Again, we're in this for the long term. We're not here to, try and solve the problem within a week, because you got to look long term. What does that tenancy look like over the next 6 to 12 months? Is that going to be a tenancy causing you more stress and more agony, I suppose, through that tenancy? And what does that look like moving forward? We always talk about forward thinking in terms of that tenancy. So get the property back on the market. And the second thing as well, bit of a reminder, understand how your property manager works, understand how they handle situations like this, be it, tenancy situations, maintenance, break leases, tribunals. Understand really how your property manager works, and you will be back on track, team. That's the message this morning. The more you know, the better it goes, I suppose. Knowledge is power, only when you use it. But that's me, team, this morning, because I saw that story. I'm going to definitely try and find another one over the next 7 days. I asked the team internally to sort of, hey, who's got some good stuff going on? Probably have a cracker story for you guys in a couple of weeks. I think we've got a bit of a public holiday here next week, but won't be long. We'll have another cracker property management story, team. That's me for today. Over and out. Don't forget, 8:10 tomorrow, we will do this again. I think Jason will be back. If not, another one of the 6-star team members will be on, and all will be well. So tune in for another Wealth Coffee Chat tomorrow, team. That's it for me. You guys have a lovely Wednesday, and I will chat to you soon.
Episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10 each weekday. Make sure you join us. Previous episodes are also available wherever you get your podcasts, folks, as well as our other podcasts from the 6-star team here at positivementor.com.au.